I want to give a short quick update on my HP Office computer I bought. I decided to swap out the card for my 2080. Reason being is I want to give my father a good computer. I've been wanting to give my father a good computer for a long time. And since I think that Dell Precision I gave him is going to do the job, I'm happy with it. The only thing is he's complaining about the video on the current card I'm using, which is a 980. I would like to use my 1080 Ti, but the 1080 Ti doesn't want to initialize on that computer for some reason or another. So I'm going to give him my 3070. So I'm going to be swapping over to a 2080 and technically be downgrading myself. But since I'm playing at 1440p, it should be more or less fine. I should more or less still get above 100 FPS in most of the games I play. But I just want to give a little update to the video I just uploaded, because things change like they always do. When it comes to that little fan that was in the front right here, I just basically put it face first into the front of the case. And I have it tilted slightly that way so it's blowing air into the motherboard area and whatnot. So it should hopefully just hit 90 degree and then just shoot into here. Unfortunately, there's really nothing I can do for the GPU, because if I put it underneath the GPU, it would actually be sucking in hot air and it really wouldn't be doing anything. So now I gotta put the side panel on, or at least try to, and see if this thing still works. Alright, now to see if this thing boots up again. Oh, I can see some RGB rainbow bar from my video card. I think one of the DVI ports in my 2080 might be bad or something. I don't know. Give me a second. I think it's safe to say I need to go to bed. I accidentally plugged the DVI cable into an HDMI port by accident. I thought I heard a click, but apparently did not, because like I said, I messed up. So I need to shut down the computer that way so I can reinitialize the card, because when it comes to DVI, for some reason or another, it doesn't like being hot swapped. There we go. Now I got an image. Alright, and with that, I think I can safe to say my HP still works. I will do a little video show, or we'll come back with a performance measurement and whatnot. I do expect a bit of a downgrade, because I am going from a 3070 to a 2080. But it's still going to be a decent little computer. I mean, this is my secondary rig after all. This isn't my main. So I can easily allow myself to go to a slightly lower quality GPU while giving my father a better GPU for what he wants to do with that computer, which is more or less watching videos and whatnot, like streaming. He's very picky on his image quality, and so am I. But again, I use my cards for gaming while he uses his for streaming and whatnot. I know it's weird, but this is something I want to do personally. This is something I've been trying to do for him for years now at this point. And I finally got to a point where I can actually do this for him. So I'm going to swap out the card on his computer and whatnot and come back to this. Alright, I did the swap over and it's all working on his end. And now I'm just going to do a test on this. And all I'm going to do is just run the old NVIDIA Tech demo again for a little while. I'm more or less interested in seeing how hot this 2080 gets. Now, when it comes down to it, the 2080 is just basically a 1080 Ti, but with ray tracing capabilities. And as we all know, we turn off ray tracing in our games. Ray tracing is not worth it. I have seemed to have turned this thing intentionally into a Dell gaming computer. I think we all know the Dell gaming computers I'm talking about. We've all seen those ads from eBay of these poor, ugly Dell Optiplexes that have been converted and molested into gaming computers with ugly ass rainbow barf. With that said, frame rate wise, even though I don't have an FPS counter up right now, everything looks to be doing just fine. But I can already tell by the noise, the 2080 does not like life. On a whim, after doing a little bit of research, I decided to pull this fan out and grab a 120mm PWM. And it turns out it fires up completely fine with these fans. So I'm going to grab a single 120mm fan and put it in the front. That way so I have better intake than what this thing originally came with, especially considering I'm putting a fairly powerful card in this thing. Granted, it's a 2080, but still, I really should have also done this with the 3070, but I didn't know about this, or I didn't think about this at the time. But yeah, so I'm going to get that done and come back. Alright, so now is this optimal? No. But compared to what it was originally set up like, is far more better. With that said, that little squirrel cage, this is what it exhausts to. So it was basically nothing. While this thing right here maybe have about like, 60, or not 60, but like 40% of it being cut off by this. Right here is where the GPU is. So I'm still going to get fresh air to the GPU, and I'll still get some air to the CPU and whatnot. So overall, this should be a somewhat decent improvement on the actual cooling performance. Not by much, obviously, but compared to what it was, it should hopefully maintain itself a little bit better. But then again, I never had any overheating issues with this thing. It just ran hot to be as expected, because this is, again, an office-grade computer being converted to a gaming-grade system. And when it comes to these, I can remove them, but it requires me to drill them out. And since I'm actually planning on using this hard drive cage, I'm not going to do that. Alright, everything's back together again. And as you can see, it's firing up completely fine, like nothing happened. It is obviously going to be a tad bit more noisier on the initial boot, because I am running a 120mm fan in the front. But hopefully now temperatures should be somewhat more in check. Not by much, but it's, again, better than what it originally was. I need to correct myself. It's a 2080 Super. I thought I bought a base model 2080, but nope, turns out it was a Super. So, I mean, still my 3070 spanks this thing, but like I said before, I gave it to my father and he already notices the difference because he went from a 980 to a 3070. So I expect a image or boost in image and whatnot, and I even noticed it also. So he's happy. I'm actually happy because I found out it's a 2080 Super. Again, it's actually more or less a good card still. Off topic for a little bit, I decided to take a look at some benchmark videos between a 2080 Super and my RTX 3070. And generally speaking, even though this is a 2-year-old video, the frame difference is like 10 FPS. And that's of course at 4K. I'm playing at 1440p, so it's not going to be as taxing. But the fact it's about like a 10 frame difference is really surprising, actually. So, and when it comes to this, I don't really see this as a downgrade like I thought. I thought it just, like I said, I thought it was a base model 2080, but nope, it's a super model. So, yeah, I guess now what I need to do is just see what the temperatures are like with the fan in the front. Oh yeah, the idle temperatures are surprisingly cool for how rinky-dinky the CPU heatsink is. I think I mentioned it in the previous video, but I'll mention it again. It's quite surprising to see the idle temperatures being this low. And before anyone says anything, this is in freedoms. I don't use a EU temperature. I'm going to fix that. What I'll do now is I'll just let the old tech demo here run for a little while. Frame rate is more or less what I expect. Temperatures seem to be maintaining themselves, but I've only let it run for like 5 or so minutes. The demo's been running now for like maybe 10 or so minutes, but I can safely say the temperatures have more or less stabilized. The GPU is running hot as I expect, but not running too hot, while the CPU is surprisingly cool for the most part, which is even more impressive considering the thermal paste I'm using is a thermal paste from my local Free Geek. And the thermal paste we tend to have over there tends to not be top tier. So the fact the CPU is running at 130 to 140 degrees Fahrenheit with a really hot video card is really impressive. Now, with that said, the noise level is definitely picking up and ramping down from time to time. That is to be expected. But it's nothing crazy loud or crazy audible. Also, I can more easily see the RGB rainbow bar coming from my GPU. Also, I can definitely tell for certain that the GPU does not like this enclosure. I did see it go to 175, but again, I kind of expect it to run really hot in this system. And these cards are meant to run this way because let's be honest, most OEMs are basically this. So most cards, even the mid tiers, are always going to be running this ungodly hot. But again, these things are meant to run this hot. I may not like it, but I have to make do with with what I have. Now, yes, I can remove the side panel on this thing, but I'm not going to do that. I kind of like the office look, and generally speaking, I don't often game on this thing. I just want to have that ability to for when I feel like it. So when it comes to the update video, that is more or less it.